High-profile Democrats are already flirting with 2028 White House bids. Just in the last few days, both California Governor Gavin Newsom and former Vice President and former California Senator and Attorney General Kamala Harris suggested they could see themselves running. Newsom said so in an interview on CBS Sunday Morning, that he would be lying if he denied plans to consider a presidential bid. Here to dig into those California connections to 2028 are CBS News Chief Washington analyst Robert Costa and CBS News California investigative correspondent Julie Watts, who I presume is outside the state capitol in Sacramento. Julie, good to see you. I want to begin with what Governor Newsom told you, Bob, in this great CBS Sunday Morning interview about potential White House aspirations. Let's take a listen.
Is it fair to say, after the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought?
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying, and I can't do that.
Governor, you have long said that if you ever run for the White House, you need a compelling why, a reason. Are you moving closer to figuring out your own why and your own decision?
Yeah, Nietzsche said if you have a compelling why, you can endure any how. And so I don't think, I think the biggest challenge for anyone who runs for any office is people see right through you if you don't have that why. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so, look, well, that fate will determine that.
You certainly seem to like being on the ground in South Carolina, I have to say that. Seeing you up close, you were having a good time.
I happen to, and thank God, I'm in the right business. I love people.
He sure seems to, and you were saying he seems to really be plotting and preparing for this.
Well, I know, Ed, that Julie's listening to that interview and probably going, big surprise. Everybody in Sacramento knows Newsom's been making a move closer to this since forever, since he was mayor of San Francisco. But he is formally starting to kind of inch toward this presidential campaign in 2028. It's a long, long way away. But I will say this, and I'm so curious to hear Julie's take on all this. As someone who doesn't cover him day to day, when I saw him in South Carolina and then visited with him in San Jose at a labor event, this is a political athlete who likes kind of diving into crowds. He reminds me of former President Bill Clinton in the way he banters with people, kind of loves the game of politics. And there's a confidence there on both politics, but also policy. He's taking all of this action, whether it's Prop 50, the vote that's next week in California, or whether it's taking on the administration on immigration and the National Guard. At 58 years old, you see him as a different Newsom in a sense of more comfortable with power, more comfortable with who he is, and maybe starting to really consider a national bid.
Julie, are they rolling their eyes in Sacramento, or are you all just happy that he's finally admitting what you've all thought is inevitable?
I don't think finally starting to consider a national bid is, I think most of us would say he has long been planning to run in 2028. In fact, probably since he chose not to run back in 2020 and Kamala ran instead. I will tell you this, and I think this is all you need to know. The governor's, both his Yes on 50 campaign and the governor's office have declined 7 of our CBS News California interview requests over the last 2 weeks. Now, these are interviews where we will be talking about California issues. They would run on CBS stations across California ahead of a consequential special election in California that the governor is essentially responsible for. And instead, Bob, he sat down with you to talk about national issues for a national audience. I think that's all you need to know about where his focus is right now.
And to both of you, the former vice president, the Newsom protege, Kamala Harris, now also conceding that, yes, more explicitly than she has so far in her book tour. I don't know if she would
call herself a Newsom protege.
Well, but they came up together in San Francisco politics, and she now also conceding that that she is thinking about a run. Where does that leave things for her? I mean, Julie, is there even, as I recall, our poll last week of California voters suggested most of them don't necessarily want to see her do it.
Yeah, here's what I would say. I think that most folks around here would say it is highly unlikely that both Harris and Newsom would run. First of all, they both, as you mentioned, came up in San Francisco. Their campaigns would cannibalize each other. They have the same donor base. They have the same staff. The governor's current chief of staff is Kamala Harris's former chief of staff. So it really wouldn't make much sense for both of them to run. And, you know, I'm not so sure that what Kamala Harris said in that recent BBC interview was really her saying she's thinking about it. I think she certainly didn't close the door, but I would argue, and I think most folks around here would say it's definitely going to be Gavin.
Real quick, in the 45 seconds or so we have, Julie, 4.5 million Californians have already voted in the Proposition 50 referendum next week. That's a pretty sizable number. Our polling suggests 62-38, this thing's going to pass. How's it playing there on the ground?
We're seeing a lot more yes on 50 ads than no. The no campaign really didn't get the funding that it needed. And now you've got people who are widely suspected to be considering political runs themselves, sponsoring their own yes on 50 ads. Jim Steyer, who has been suspected of throwing his hat in the race for governor, and several folks who may be running for these congressional districts that we've just redrawn. So you're seeing a lot of money from a lot of places on the yes on 50 and not much on no on 50.
I mean, this was supposed to be Kevin McCarthy's pet project, and he's kind of disappeared.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, former Speaker McCarthy is definitely an opponent of Prop 50, but he never really owned it. I mean, he never. It's a vague thing. Look, people are surprised in Congress that he's not doing more to protect the majority, but he's not the speaker anymore.
Right.
I think that this Newsom, California is national. If Democrats can pick up 5 seats in California next year, that puts the House really in play.
Yeah. And, of course, those redistricting follies continue in all sorts of states. Julie Watts for Sacramento, Robert Costa here.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you both for your time. And we'll be talking to you both, I know, a lot in the coming week as we get ready for this round of elections next Tuesday.